Hi, I'm Alan, and this is Group 1 from H15B. We are happy to share with you what we have discovered in our qualitative analysis about technology-enabled teaching practice in the university. We use secondary data, which are scripts of 8 interviews collected by Paul Connell from University of the West of Scotland. The overarching research question is that how do university lecturers apply digital competencies into their teaching practice? In order to answer this question, we developed three key research objectives. Firstly, assess university lecturers' digital literacy and understanding of digital competencies. We identified 10 digital competencies, which will be demonstrated and discussed by my teammates in the following parts of this presentation. Secondly, benchmark technology-enabled teaching practice. We use Excel and NVivo to access and analyze data by applying comparative and benchmarking approaches. Thirdly, identify challenges and provide recommendations to the university's academic board. Next to present is my groupmate Cindy.
This is a secondary data analysis. We have a total of 8 respondents, all from different levels of study. To further demonstrate how we analyzed the data, we divided amongst group members the interview transcripts. We cleaned our data, and during cleaning of our data, we were able to gather primary level data analysis. And we have an idea of the digital competency of the lecturers. And at the same time, as group members, we already form our buckets of opinions. And from there, we were able to gather our parent notes. We decided to use the 10 digital competencies asked in the interview as our parent notes. So we coded our data in NVivo, divided it amongst group members, and merged it, and all with the same parent node. From there, we saw the analysis of the digital learning competency of the university lecturers, and also we were able to have our final analysis. To further discuss the story of our analysis, I would like to turn you over to my groupmate, Rushi. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cindy. After the coding process, what we came forward to looking for was the analysis, the major part of how exactly did we talk about data among our group and how do we decide to communicate it to you, which is even more important. When talking about our analysis, we realized that out of the 8 interviewees, specifically 2 of them seemed a little too upset or not so happy with technology and the adoption of the same, especially when we talk about Amal. He was really upset with the fact that he had to constantly be updated with technology and learn new skills over the time. When we talk about the perspectives in terms of assessing the forms, people were pretty elaborate, and the faculties showed some kind of knowledge, information in terms of assessing what they need to do. At the same time, they also made sure that they're focusing on what exactly do the students need and what exactly does the university need. And once those criteria were in place, they knew how exactly they need to go ahead with the platform. In terms of recognition of digital solutions to meet specific tasks, people knew that how exactly do they need to meet the objective, and not only that, more importantly, they also knew how to find out and be clear about the objective in the first place, which decides everything that you go ahead with. It may be money, may be the people required to execute, learn, or even more other things. In terms of ethics and security, people were really aware that different countries and different students have different norms and comfort in the first place when it comes to accepting new platforms. And that's exactly what led to faculties also, the lecturers, also being really considerate about the same. When it comes to the responsibility of tutors, all of them were really aware that they need to be proactive and regular in checking what exactly do they need to do, how is an audit in terms of do they need to, when is the right time for them to, oh my God, I need to learn something new. Some of them were all, however, reactive in terms of, okay, I will learn something when I need to. When we talk about someone like Masami or Amal, only if I'm forced to or if I'm required to, if I'm losing my job. But people like Ashley were really, really conscious about the same thing. Interacting with technologies, maybe the code of conduct of ethics, maintaining and ensuring the credibility as well as the confidentiality, choosing a platform that is just not comfortable and convenient, but also at the same time repeated in terms of confidentiality, because we had a mention of Ashley where she was talking about Zoom, where she was talking that Zoom has been infamous lately for, like recently it was infamous during the COVID pandemic for having issues in terms of confidentiality or work ethics or data storage ethics. And that is when the faculties were really aware. And the fact that they are knowing that there are spaces where the debates are taking place, it's important for them to know. So that's what the approach was, basically, that some of them followed an approach where start finding something somewhere and you will eventually get there. People like Masami did that, while people like Ashley were like, you need to start in a very well organized way. So depending on the awareness and the digital awareness and the education that the faculties or the lecturers were possessing, they were able to know what step or what process do they need to follow. Maybe the most primitive level of knowledge I could just choose to find somewhere. Well, there are some lecturers or some interviewees who mentioned, I don't know where to find it, but I know I can Google something and Google Scholar will eventually take me there. So they still know that what do they need to find, which is even more important. They might be out of resources to find something, but that is still fine. Identify gaps in terms of limitations for knowledge, as well as the capacity to adopt to new gaps or to overcome new gaps. It's also something a lot of people commented on. And they were also really accepting and aware in terms of with every new technology, with every new risk comes a new solution. And maybe the university, them, or a collaborative outsourced effort, it is always going to be a task to deal with that challenge. But the fact that they are still aware of the challenge is something that's really appreciable. What we could also analyze is all of them had a pretty similar opinion in terms of digital reputation and identity. They're aware of the fact that their data is being stored somewhere. So something that said 10 years ago, quoting Ashley, I could be called out for saying something I did not even mean 10 years ago. So when we're talking about this, we also can realize that all of them, even though they're not completely against, the use of technology or not even a fan of it, but at the same time have the bare minimum knowledge that data has a footprint and social media has a footprint. Whatever you say, you need to be conscious. And there are also, some of them are also really aware. We had an interview saying the importance of community takes you so much higher in life in terms of your trajectory of career, because you might actually end up meeting someone who is interested in your research, who wants to probably invest. So we also had some really, really good insights based on that. While talking about the word cloud, the most common word was spaces, platforms, access, university, learning, and so many other things. I would want to now call Sabrina to talk more about what would be our recommendations, how would we want to conclude this study, and so much more.
Thank you, Rishi. Our first recommendation is to organise a seminar for the lecturers to be updated of the available resources and assistance for digital support for teaching. This recommendation is highly beneficial for lecturers who already have prior knowledge of digital media use. These seminars would provide lecturers with updates on the latest resources available and allow them to familiarise themselves with the new materials. Moreover, these seminars will feature the advantage of having digital support at these events. This will allow professors to probe further into areas they might be struggling with, which would boost their overall digital confidence. Our second recommendation involves creating a monthly workshop for lecturers to have hands-on experience. With this workshop, professors will be initiating peer-to-peer learning, which will allow them to feel engaged with digital media in a safe learning space. Additionally, this workshop will cater to different levels of technological background according to each participant. Overall, out of 8 lecturers, 6 were moderately proficient with technology and digital use. We found that 2 out of the 8 lecturers interviewed had less knowledge of technological use, and they preferred to teach with more conventional practices. As such, our recommendations are based off our findings and aim to improve digital confidence amongst lecturers and professors of all digital competency levels. Thank you.